Hi, I'm Dr. Zillman, and I'd like to talk to you about your testes.
You know that feeling when you watch something dumb, and even though you know it's stupid, you can't help but laugh and enjoy yourself?
Let's chew the fat.
Joey, you ever hang around the gymnasium?
It's no use. I just can't bring my wife to orgasm.
The 80s are full of comedies like that. Yeah, we know they're dumb and not especially clever, but whatever, man. Every now and then you're in a bad mood and you just want to turn your brain off. Hey, that's why they made 7 Police Academy movies. No one thought they were good, but we watched them anyway because, they were stupid, but in a good way.
People just don't understand me.
Which brings me to the rare comedy-focused episode of The Best Movie You Never Saw.
Don't bullshit me.
About a movie I just loved as a kid that doesn't super hold up 40 years later, but is still kind of fun. Johnny Dangerously.
By the way, what's your name?
Johnny Dangerously.
Now, what did I tell all you neighborhood people?
Around here, you're Johnny Kelly, not the notorious gangster Johnny Dangerously.
This is a gangster comedy in the vein of Airplane.
You've gotten to be like a daughter to me, and I want to share something with you.
Oh, what's that, Mom Kelly?
I go both ways.
And it's probably a movie a lot of younger viewers won't really get because it satirizes a kind of film that they probably just didn't grow up watching. James Cagney gangster movies from the 30s and 40s.
Calling all cars, calling all cars. Be on the lookout for Johnny Dangerously and 2 accomplices in a black sedan. I repeat, in a black sedan.
Heck, audiences in the 80s probably didn't grow up watching these movies, which is probably why it was kind of a flop.
You missed, fuckface.
But if you're like me and you like older movies, this one is a treat. It stars Michael Keaton in the title role.
People like me, we're like shooting stars. We cross the sky for one moment in time, and then we plunge to Earth and disappear. Jesus Christ, I'm starting to upset myself.
Yes, that's right. Long before he was Batman,
I'm Batman.
or even Beetlejuice, Keaton was a hotshot young comedy star. He killed in a showy supporting role in the Ron Howard movie Night Shift.
Hey, yo, right here! Right here, buddy! Hey, look at this! We got teenage girls! The place is full of brides in here!
Which in turn landed him the lead in the comedy classic Mr. Mom.
My brain is like oatmeal. I yelled at Kenny today for coloring outside the lines.
Which was actually one of the biggest movies of 1983. Johnny Dangerously was his follow-up, and it was written by a couple of old-time comedy writers, but had a very unusual choice for a director, Amy Heckerling.
Learn it, know it, live it.
Well, at the time, she was one of the few female directors in the business. She was just coming off of Fast Times at Ridgemount High, which was one of the hippest films of the 80s.
I like that. That's nice. Mr. Hand, will I pass this class? Gee, Mr. Spicoli, I don't know.
This was part of a brief try by her to become a comedy director for hire. Apparently this one went just fine, but she had a miserable time with Chevy Chase, who'da thunk it, on her follow-up, National Lampoon's European Vacation.
Clark, maybe he knows how to get to the hotel.
Oh, yeah, I hate to bother you, but we're from the United States. We're staying at the Royal Imperial Windsor Arms.
Well, you go back the way you came, and you just keep going to...
Oh, my God.
Her experience in that movie led to her deciding that, hey, she was going to do her own stuff going forward.
Oh, no! Put me back in! Put me back in, please! Buddy, let go of my head and put me back inside!
Before we continue with our video, here's a reminder to click the Store tab on any of our JoBlo channels and browse our collection of the latest and freshest designs in our merch store. Go get you some. But back to Johnny Dangerously. Keaton is perfectly cast as a good-hearted gangster during the Depression named Johnny Kelly, aka Johnny Dangerously. He works as a gangster to pay for his mother's never-ending series of operations and to put his kid brother through school.
Well, maybe if you wouldn't drink so much, the whole thing would clear up, Ma.
He never has to do anything particularly bloodthirsty, as he works for a good-hearted older crook named Jocko Dundee, played by the great Peter Boyle.
No more nodding.
When his mentor steps down, Johnny gets the reins of the syndicate, but has to deal with a traitorous underling, Joe Piscopo's Danny Verman.
Well, I fulfilled a lot of people's predictions about me. I've become a real scumbag.
As I said, this was highly inspired by the James Cagney movies, in particular The Public Enemy and The Roaring Twenties. The later film actually figures heavily into the plot. Keaton's Johnny is a very Cagney-esque mug, with Piscopo playing a takeoff on the bad guy parts Humphrey Bogart used to play before he reinvented himself as a good guy in The Maltese Falcon and Casablanca.
Who did that? Oh, sorry, did I get you?
Both him and Piscopo seem to be wearing eyeliner, which was a common thing for actors on black and white film in the 1930s, but it's super noticeable in color film, which is actually really funny. It's an interesting piece of 80s nostalgia with a cast very much of its time, particularly in the casting of two vets of the classic TV show Taxi, Mary Lou Henner and Danny DeVito.
You've always seemed to me to be more sensitive than the rest. We should spend some time together.
Danny DeVito wasn't a household name yet, with him only really breaking out beyond his fame on Taxi once he did Romancing the Stone, which was the same year as this. Mary Lou Henner never quite made it onto the A-list as far as films go, but she's a lot of fun as Johnny's nightclub chanteuse love interest, a tough-tucking dame in the Bette Davis vein.
You got spirit, spunk, fire, verb. You got those.
But the one who really steals this movie, and it's crazy that he does, is Joe Piscopo. Now I gotta say, Piscopo is a bit of a punchline these days, but kind of unfairly, as he's actually really funny in this. At the time, Piscopo and Eddie Murphy were pretty much the only two reasons to watch Saturday Night Live, and it likely looked like Piscopo was gonna be a big star like Eddie Murphy became.
Do you know who I am? I save McCheese, pal!
Apparently, director Brian De Palma was a massive fan of this movie, with him laughing his ass off during an early studio screening, which is why both Joe Piscopo and Danny DeVito ended up starring in his own not very good mob comedy, Wise Guys. Piscopo has all the movie's funniest lines, including my favorite recurring gag.
You shouldn't hang me on a hook. My father hung me on a hook once.
Now, the movie wasn't all that big of a hit when it hit theaters, which is why some of you watching this that weren't born in the 80s may have never heard of it. It made about $17.1 million, which wasn't bad for 1984, and Michael Keaton's follow-up Gung Ho was a much bigger hit. It also had a very curious home video release, where the theme song, which is sung by Weird Al Yankovic, was dropped in favor of a cover of the Cole Porter song Let's Misbehave, which also features in the film. It's been restored on all recent releases though. Overall, Johnny Dangerously is a pretty fun movie, and you have to give it credit with how racy it was for a PG-13 comedy.
There's something you don't see every day.
You see, back in 1984, the rating was still brand new, so they were able to get a ton of leeway by having the movie's bad guy, Richard Demetrius Moroni, being a master of the malpropism. So he's able to say things like Fargan ice holes or Coke sorkers without it being too much trouble with the MPAA. So if you find jokes like that funny, or this one,
You Fargan sneaky bastard! I'm gonna take you to work! I'm gonna crush your boils in a meat grinder! Dirty Samana Patch, my own club!
then hey, give Johnny Dangerously a look. It's streaming on HBO Max and Cinemax, but seems to be out of print on DVD and never got a Blu-ray release, which is a real shame.
This really sucks.
I mean, wouldn't it be amazing to watch Johnny Dangerously with a Michael Keaton commentary track? I mean, I interviewed him a couple weeks ago and he seemed like a pretty nice guy, so who knows, maybe he'd do it. Give us Johnny Dangerously, the collector's edition, with a commentary track. And hey, bring in Joe Piscopo, Danny DeVito, Mary Lou Henner, make it a party. Until then, Johnny Dangerously, worth checking out and definitely the best movie you never saw.
So next time, do the smart thing. Don't let anything come between your testicles and you.